I guess some people might be a little bit disappointed in the team, which I guess is a good thing.
4 words. We'll see what happens. That is all Max Verstappen will say about his future right now. But underneath those 4 words sits a standoff worth billions of dollars, and not one person trapped inside it can afford to move first. Because here's the thing, nobody has actually stopped to do the math on. If Max walks away from Red Bull, who genuinely loses more? Is it the team whose entire identity and whose biggest sponsors are built on his face? Is it the driver who's never earned this kind of money anywhere else and might have nowhere better to go? Or is it the team everyone just assumes would sign him in a heartbeat, the one that might actually have the most to lose of all 3? This isn't a contract story, it's a game of chicken with 3 players and billions on the table. Let's get into it. So first, why is this even on the table? Quick version. Max is under contract to Red Bull through 2028, but that deal has a crack in it, an exit clause. If he's outside the championship's top 2 by the summer break, he can walk, and right now he's 7th. So for the first time in a decade, the most valuable driver on earth has a legal door out, and he's standing right next to it. Now, normally when a star flirts with leaving, everyone asks the same question. Where's he going? But that's the lazy question, and it's the wrong one. The real question, the one that actually decides whether he stays or goes, is colder. It's not about ambition. It's about arithmetic. Who can least afford for this to happen? Because whoever has the most to lose is the one who will be forced to bend. So let's put each side on the scale, starting with the team that built everything it has around him. What does Red Bull actually stand to lose? Start with the number that matters. This is a team valued at around $4.33 billion, but that valuation isn't built on factories and wind tunnels. It's built on a face. And we don't have to guess how much that face is worth because one of their own incoming sponsors said the quiet part out loud. When Adidas signed to dress the team from 2027, the reporting flagged one enormous risk in black and white that Adidas could watch its single most valuable asset walk out the door before the partnership even begins. That asset is Max, a global brand signing with Red Bull, openly bracing for the possibility that the entire reason they're signing might not be there. Then look at the money already locked in. Oracle pays Red Bull around $110 million a year, the biggest title deal on the grid, and they re-signed it even after Max failed to win in 2025. That's not a bet on the car, it's a bet on the brand. And the brand is a man who might leave. Red Bull is no longer the benchmark, either third in the constructors last year, chasing Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren, which is exactly why losing him now would be the worst possible time. But before you crown Red Bull the biggest loser here, wait until you see what Max is risking. Because Max isn't playing with house money either. At Red Bull, he earns a base salary of around $70 million. And once you stack bonuses and personal sponsorships on top, his total package climbs to somewhere between $90 and $115 million a year. That is the single richest seat in Formula One. Now here's the brutal part. When Mercedes came knocking, the offer they reportedly put on the table was as little as 10% of what he currently earns. 10%. His manager rejected it outright, and you can see why. And it's not just salary. A huge chunk of Max's personal empire, Dutch giants like Jumbo, global names like Heineken, is wired directly into his identity as Red Bull's golden boy and the Netherlands' national hero. Unpick that, and you don't just change his car, you complicate his entire brand. And then there's the thing money can't price. Max has never driven for anyone but Red Bull. Leaving now, mid-career, with the car finally maybe turning a corner, risks him being remembered not as the man who built a dynasty, but as the man who walked away from one. So Max has plenty to lose too. But here's where it gets really interesting, because the team everyone assumes is his golden escape might be the one that should be most afraid of all. Everyone points at McLaren, reigning constructors champions, back-to-back titles, the fastest car, an open door. Simple, right? Wrong. And here's what nobody's actually costed out. McLaren's entire identity is built on the one thing Max Verstappen cannot live with: equality. The papaya rules, no number 1 driver. They just spent a whole season letting Norris and Piastri race each other cleanly for the title, and Norris won it. That balances their brand. Now drop Max into that garage. Christian Horner, the man who ran him for a decade, said it plainly. Max is the hardest teammate any driver could possibly have. Ask Daniel Ricciardo how being the other guy in a Verstappen-shaped team worked out. It's close to a one-way ticket out of the sport. So McLaren wouldn't just be signing a driver. They'd be tearing up the exact culture that just won them everything, replaying the Norris-Piastri fight. Except this time with a teammate they cannot manage, cannot ask to move over, and cannot control. And then there's the bill. Max would cost them a multiple of what Piastri earns, potentially double or more for a seat that guarantees them nothing but internal war. Why would a team that's already winning championships pay a fortune to detonate the very harmony that made them champions? That's the question McLaren is quietly terrified of. Which brings us to the trap all three of them are now stuck in. And this is the part that makes the whole thing so fascinating. Look at where everyone actually stands. Red Bull cannot afford to lose him. He's the face their billions are built on. Max cannot easily afford to leave. Nobody will pay him what he's worth. And there's no perfect car waiting. And McLaren cannot afford to take him, not without setting fire to the culture that just made them the best team in the world. Three of the most powerful forces in Formula One, and every single one of them is cornered. Nobody can move without losing something enormous. This isn't a driver holding a team hostage. It's a three-way standoff where everyone's holding a gun and everyone is out of good options. And that's exactly why, for all the noise, all the rumors, all the "he's gone" headlines, nothing has actually happened. Because the moment anyone blinks, they lose. So who blinks? Let's actually answer it. Weighing all three, Max loses money and a little comfort, but he keeps his talent, and talent always finds a seat. He'd survive. McLaren loses their harmony if they take him, but they can also just say no and keep winning as they are. They have an exit. But Red Bull has no exit. Their valuation, their sponsors, their entire identity in a post-dominance era is welded to one man at the exact moment they've slipped from first to fourth. Max leaving doesn't dent Red Bull. It guts the story sponsors are paying billions to be part of. So the answer, when you actually run the numbers, is the one nobody expects. The driver has options. McLaren has an off-ramp. Red Bull has neither. The team that held all the power over Max for 10 years is now, quietly, the one with the most to lose, and they know it, which is why they're the ones scrambling to keep him, apologizing to him, upgrading for him. That's not a team in control. That's a team that just realized the balance of power flipped. So here's where it lands. Everyone assumed this was Max needing Red Bull. Run the actual money. And it's the opposite. Red Bull needs Max far more than Max needs them. And the team everyone thinks would save him might be too smart to try. My honest take? Max will use every ounce of that leverage. And he should, because for the first time in his career, he's the one holding all the cards, not the team. And it all comes to a head at the summer break, when that exit clause finally opens. So if you want the real story behind these billion-dollar games, the stuff the headlines, skip subscribe, because this saga is only getting started. But first, I want your verdict. One word only. Who has the most to lose if Max walks Max, Red Bull, or McLaren? Drop your one word below. I read every single one. Keep it flat out. I'll see you at the next one.